All right, so this is the carrot breakfast recipe. We're starting a little bit into it here. The recipe calls for 4 carrots. I tend to use 5 big ones, so I am peeling them to start with. We're just going to speed up here and get through this. I don't wash them first, I just get the skin off. Then I chop off the tips because I don't need that part. I leave the backside on because that's going to be a helpful handle when I do this part. So what we're doing is we are taking a very fine grater and grating these carrots to be very small. And we're going to speed this way up because this part takes quite a while to get through all those carrots. Maybe you can buy something finely grated at the store, but I can't find it as fine as I like it, so I do it by hand. The trick here is to hold it in a way that you're not running your fingernails into the grater because that hurts very bad. So keep adjusting your grip to keep a good downward pressure, but keep your fingers out of the teeth of that thing. So wrapping up the last one, the next step is going to be to basically squeeze some juice out of these carrots. I don't know what it would do to bake it with the moisture still in it, but this is how I read the recipe, was to get some moisture out. So you get a separate bowl. This is the best way I've found to juice these. It feels moronic, but like I said, best thing I've found. Maybe you can find something better. So you just squeeze these a few good times in small enough clumps that you're not going to drop a bunch of carrots into the bowl, because that basically takes a year off your life for every one you drop after all that shaving them down. And then put them in the bowl that you're going to mix up all your ingredients in for the baking. If you want to make a smoothie or something, you can save that juice, do a carrot shot. And again, I obsessively gathered those up because it was a pain in the ass to grate them all down. So now we're going to the pretty standard part of this lineup. We're going to do 3 cups of oats. We're going to do 1 tablespoon of baking powder. We're going to do 2 1/3 cups of almond flour, or at least that's what we're using. I'm probably going all out of order from the recipe, but I'm doing my seasoning now. This is 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. Then we'll do 1 teaspoon of ginger. And 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I feel like you really can't overdo it with the seasoning, so if you do a little extra, that's fine. Especially because I'm doing more carrots than the recipe calls for, but this is fine too. I'm doing 2 tablespoons of honey. Again, if you all need to look for some kind of sugar alternative, you can figure that out. Then we are doing a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I try to be fairly precise with this to not overdo it. We've done it with even less than that, and it still tastes great because everything is yummy. If you all need an alternative, you can figure that out. We're going to do 2.5 cups of hemp milk for us. We're going to use 2 whole eggs in there. We're going to get 1 tablespoon of butter, and I'm going to melt it in the microwave for about a minute at 30% power, not full power. All right, there's your melted butter. That should be everything. Unless I'm missing something, then I mix everything together. The trick in this one is with all those carrots on the bottom, I don't want to see any globs of that. I want it to all be mixed in with everything else. So just do this until you are satisfied with the texture. I get my tray and I make my satanic symbol in it with my olive oil and spread that around. You get your fixings in the tray. Again, I obsessively scraped that bowl for all those carrots because it was hard work. I mash everything around, and then I end up using that big fork, which has been useful for smoothing and leveling out the tray so you don't get too many lumps. Again, be as obsessive as you want, or don't. All right, that's going to go in the oven at 350 for around 35 minutes. This timer's already been going. And there's a thing in the oven. All right, so while that's baking, we're going to make our frosting, which is a 1/2 cup of, we're using Greek yogurt. And I obsessively, well, I can't open things. That's we're going to use a 1/2 cup of cream cheese. So I obsessively use a clean spoon from the receptacle into the cup measure because I want to know it's a 1/2 cup. If you're comfortable with living without rules, you can just eyeball it. That's going to go in a cup, and I'm going to microwave that for about a minute at 30% power just to soften it. While that's microwaving, I get the Greek yogurt, which just goes straight into your vessel. I am going to use a tablespoon of sugar. You can find an alternative to sweeten this up. I use the precise measuring device because that makes me feel better about what I'm doing and putting it into my body. The cream cheese goes in, I mix that up. This is just going to go in the fridge, and when your stuff is done baking, that's it. I save the frosting in the container and I apply it every morning before I microwave it. I don't put it on and then put it in the fridge. A little bit of this goes a long way, or you can really glob it on. It's pretty great both ways. This one is definitely more labor intensive, but it is pretty darn yummy. So good luck.